in a traditional lecture, with your relationship, you think, with your instructor, your platonic professional relationship, would that change in any way if there was no technology? Would you be closer with them, more distant with them?
I was thinking it would stay the same because, like, my professor, she goes out of her way to, like, make sure that she talks to, like, every single person almost. And then even if, like, I didn't have technology in the class, like, it wouldn't change anything else because we're not really supposed to have it out, and I take notes, like, in a notebook or whatever, so I don't think it would change really.
Okay.
I think it would change a lot. If not, because, like, every single class, there's some sort of, like, internet connection. Like, there's always a presentation, whether it's done by a professor or a student. But I think it would, I don't know, I think it would make me view my professor different because one of the things I really like is that she does use outside sources on the material that we cover, and a lot of that has to be shown, like, because of the internet. So I think it would be different, but not necessarily bad.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
I feel like it'd be less of a presentation from your professor and more of like a discussion. If they didn't have those PowerPoints and like images to back up what they were saying, it'd probably turn into more of a group discussion than a lecture type setting, which is typically how our class kind of goes anyway. I just think you would have to rely more on discussion.
Okay. Would be a bad change or a good change? What do you think?
Probably be a good change.
Good
I
change?
think I learned better from discussion than like getting engaged.
It'd be more engaging.
Okay.
I feel like it would make after class, like, I would have to be more prepared about what I would need for next class because I can, like, look it up.
Mm-hmm.
But my professor would probably like not getting emails all the time.
So we do always have like the last slide of the day. It's like for next class, do these things. So that would be difficult with not having your list of things to do for next class. But
okay. Excellent. Very cool. So just a couple more questions and we'll be done. This I'm looking for just a couple of examples here. So you may just think of a story, an anecdote from your experience where you think mobile technology significantly influenced your relationship with your CIS instructor, either positively or negatively. Can you think of a particular example? A story or like, man, this one class, everybody had their phones out, or nobody had their phones out.
Is this in class?
Yeah, I think that would be great, particularly in a face-to-face class, if you can speak to that. Yeah.
I feel like raise my hand. Well, our instructor showed like a picture for kids on like the screen, like, and you have to use like technology to get that, but just like it was like a funny story. Like she's shown like maybe 2 or like 3 stories of like her kids doing something funny and like just like kind of was like engaging us and like we were like relating to like her, and it was just funny and like good conversation.
Cool.
I think like incorporating aspects of your life outside of the classroom into the classroom can definitely help for you to have like that bond.
Gotcha.
You know, one of my presentations, I used a photo of like me and a teacher from high school, so I know like I got to bring in something from outside of the classroom into the classroom, which helps.
Cool. And you think technology facilitates that essentially, like bringing? Gotcha. Thanks. Are there positive or negatives or good examples? Positive or negative? One more example regarding how technology positively or negatively influenced your relationship with your CIS instructor.
Well, for me, like at the beginning, it was so hard for me to take notes because I'm an international student in my first semester. But then when I tried to take notes with the laptop, it was so easier for me.
Sure.
So for me, it's a positive thing to have technology in the class.
Excellent. Thanks. Other examples? Okay, going back now to second to last question, other students in your class, particular instances where the presence of technology in your class has positively and negatively impacted your ability to, your relationship with other students, maybe forming those relationships and maintaining those. CS class is kind of a smaller class in many cases, so there's often an opportunity to do that may not be as apparent as in other classes. Any positive or negative ways technology has influenced relationship formation, development, maintenance in your CS class?
Bringing in computers for our peer reviews, that helped a lot. She didn't have us go into a peer review with someone that would be like more comfortable with. Like someone we sat next to, she gave random lists for the rest of the class. You're just peer reviewing with each other, so that gave more time to get to know your classmate and share your work, better yourself as a writer.
Gotcha.
So that's that to me.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Bryce. Like, we have a group chat within our dorm that a lot of people in our class are in. So whenever we're confused about something, we can just say something in there, and someone from our class will be willing to help us. So I think just communicating, working together outside of class, if we're confused on like what a writer's memo is, like someone can ask her, and then we can distribute the information instead of like everyone having to go directly to our professor.
Gotcha.
Do that.
Other examples?
There was one time my instructor, she was sick, and we met online.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So thanks to technology,
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
still meet online.
Is that a good thing for you or a bad thing that you'd rather have the day off? Or?
I couldn't hear what she was saying because there was some problem with my computer.
Okay.
That was a bad thing.
Okay. All right. Sure. Any other instances you guys want to mention?
When we have to do the podcast, like I was over like the first one, and I'm terrible at technology. Just putting that out there. And so the other group leader with me, like he took over the technology part for me. So like I took over the content, and I like told everybody what they're gonna say. And so then it was just good to have somebody else there that like knew what they were doing. So it was easier for our group to like. We actually got a really good grade, so it's easier for us to like come together and understand whenever he like actually offered his expertise and like his technological knowledge that I lack so much.
Gotcha. Excellent. Well, thanks, guys. One last question, and I do want to hear from a couple of you on this. Just, it's not just like a question I don't really have an interest in answering, but is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything I didn't cover? I can't have comprehensively, exhaustively evaluated this subject today. So regarding relationships in your CIS class and technology, the way those areas overlap, anything else that we should add? This may be the quote that starts my dissertation. Your words, anonymous. You don't have to be poetic. Just other final thoughts. Could just be like, it's the best. It sucks.
Technology is good.
It's good.
I feel like it's important to find a balance between like the classroom that has no technology and the classroom that relies entirely on technology. So I think, ours doesn't use a ton of technology, and we can maybe use it a little bit more, but then there's some classes that, do everything online. So you could find a good balance in between those two.
Okay.
Are most of the classes, like CAS classes, short or small?
Yeah, most of them are about 26 students.
I feel like that's important because communication is like key to everything. And like just building on the communication part and having those small classes really helps.
And building on it in regards to technology, like would technology play a role in how we would build upon that communication in those classes, you think? Or should be increased, lessened? Any thoughts on that?
I guess like being tech savvy helps too.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
I think outside of class too, technology helps you to stay in communication with your classmates and the professor.
Okay.
So you still have that, even though you're out of class, you still have like that open net of communication.
Gotcha.
I think technology helps me when I procrastinate. Yeah, because I usually do it like at the very last minute. I can still submit online. Like usually my assignments, they're always due at like 11:59 p.m. I always submit them at 11:58. Yeah. So I don't have to make them hang on my papers and stuff. That helps.
One more thought. Somebody else says something else I can say. Our longest focus group went over 40 minutes, so that's what really be helping me out a lot.
I think, like, as a whole, technology can help, like, just organization. So, like, one of the things that I'm awful about is, like keeping papers with specific classes for notebooks or whatever, but when Canvas comes into play, like, you don't have to organize anything. It's already done for you. So,
Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you guys a million. So many great things mentioned here. Plenty for me.